Hello, 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 friends. Welcome into another episode of my podcast, Locking In for 2026, a year of finding balance. So, this week. So, when I started this 2026 locking in journey, I really had anticipated it to go pretty damn smooth, to be honest. Pretty damn smooth. Because, like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to lock in, right? I'm ready to find out the answer, figure out this balance, learn how to support my body. And you know what? For the first week, it was awesome. I did exactly that. And then I started to think, well, what am I going to talk to everybody about every week if it's just me doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Me following my set rules, right? Me just being perfect, right? Essentially. And then shit started to like shift and change and started to help me to unravel in a different direction than I thought I was going to go. So I have a belief system where I'm always led, I'm always guided by divineness, right? I call it God, but you can call it source and call it universe. I believe that there is an intelligence behind this life. And I want to share that openly with you. And I want to share that with you in case you really haven't understood that from my conversations previously, because, right, that is resonant to some, resonant not to some. And so, and plus my filters and how I think and how I view my belief system, that's how I look at life, right? And so, with that being said, I believe once you open up to this is the direction I would like to go, God, source or universe, right? And this is what I want to heal, this is what I want to do, then you know what? God gives you many opportunities to do exactly that. But it's not as easy as one would think when we start. And you know what? God's kind of like smacked me around a little bit in that a lot throughout my life, where I'm just like, oh, yeah, it's going to be so easy, but then I've learned so much more about myself. So this week was not about me doing anything in particular other than living my life, eating, understanding from the week previously that I had learned that I need some containment, right? That I need something to hold myself while I continue to move forward. Like I can't just be floating out here willy-nilly with, you know, all these ideas that I might do, might not do. I have to have something to have come back to home base with every single time, especially when I am trying to be the person that learns how to balance health for life, not just for a year, right? This is not diet 101. This is not Sabrina following a keto diet. This is not Sabrina following an inflammation diet and then really perfecting that. No, no. And the more and more I move through these things and understand what I need, it's like, okay, I need to back fuck off. I need to back way up. I need to back up past week one where I was like, okay, this is my container. I'm going to do it perfectly because that was shown to me right out of the gate that that's not how I'm going to get to locking in for 2026, where I am balanced, where I am living my life without feeling deprived, without feeling like I'm doing something to attain something, right? And even though I'm not attaining weight, I am trying to attain that balance. I am trying to attain that freedom, that helping to support my body through menopause, helping to support my body through the rest of my life. And because this has been a journey that's been challenging for me for a very long time, there's going to be more levels and layers to learn, things that I had never learned before. It's like I feel like I've pieced this together with, okay, I got to the point where my self-worth I improved. The love for myself has improved. I don't care like about my body in the respects of if I gain or lose weight, I'm still going to be happy as Sabrina, no matter what. I've gotten to that mountain, that level, right? If we're going in through my favorite video game back in the day that I grew up playing, Super Mario Brothers, like I'm on level 4-1 right now, right? But I still got eight, right? I think it's eight. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I still got some levels to go, right, to get to that end result. And so, anyway, my point is that this week I was observing my brain, my body, my life, what was going on. Because again, I'm also navigating more capacity in my business. And that my MO is where I'm focusing more in one area, I tend to forget about myself in the other areas. I put myself last. I have a long history of totally putting myself last. Like I've got two daughters, I've got kids, they get first dibs on my time, my attention. They get the best of the best, and mom gets what's left over, right? That's kind of how I've always been. But I've learned, to not do that. But because I have that history, then I'm learning how to balance and have space for everything. So 2026 locking in, finding balance is going to be not just balance for food and health, but also balance for life in my life, right? And I feel like balance looks different for every single person. And the more and more I learn about balance, it's really just being able to flow without judgment. It's really being able to perhaps have things in your life that you touch every day, that you pay attention to, that you focus on, right? Like health, like your family, like your life admin stuff, paying bills, right? Running your household, your relationships, right? Your kids, your husband, if you have a business, right? Or a career or whatever you have, like you have all of these like buckets, right? And within each of those buckets, kind of what you want to achieve within them, right? Like that you perhaps want to have a harmonious relationship with husband, and you want to have a supportive, connective, maybe relationship with your kids. And then with your health, obviously, you want to feel good in your body. You want to, if you're like me, support yourself for the rest of your life, but feeling good, right? Not always trying to like catch up, not always trying to reverse shit that you are doing because you're cycling in patterns of things that don't serve you, right? And so we have these buckets, so we kind of know what we need to do, what we want to do, right? And I feel like balance is really being able to touch upon each of those buckets within a day, or maybe not, because maybe that day you are like stressed the fuck out and you just don't have the capacity for that. But you know that you'll get to it another day. You know that one day without creating content in your business is not going to completely bring the whole system down, right? Like those types of things. So for me, that's what balance really is. And that's what I'm seeing even more. And so when it comes to this week around my health, I've really learned that yes, containment for me is super important, but that containment needs to be back the fuck up in terms of like maybe just gluten we do not do, right? And maybe even gluten I have only with protein, never by itself. So I was observing this week the foods that I was eating and how it made me feel. And I was like, okay, so maybe my containment is going to be right now to just have like my gluten with, like if I had a burger, right? Have my gluten with a heavy protein source, right? Prioritize the protein source, have a little bit of gluten if I want, right? Because I have also learned this week that I am not a woman, not a person. My nervous system is not a place right now, and not, and I'll tell you a little more about this. Not a place right now where she likes to be boxed in. She does not like, and I say she, I'm talking about myself, but I do not like to be boxed in, right? I don't like to be trapped. And throughout many of my lifetimes, it feels like with dieting, with my health, I have always boxed myself in. I've always trapped myself in terms of this is what I'm going to do. And so my nervous system is used to the restriction, right? Even though I haven't done that in a very long time, mind you, she's still used to that. So she's anticipating on every corner. So when I start off, I'm like, okay, let me just make sure I'm getting that inflammation out because I know it's really important. I know it's really important for me to have impact in a greater way my glucose and my cholesterol, right? Like I got to do this, right? But at the same time, if I'm going to balance this for life, like that's not where I can hold capacity long term. So I'm just saying that I've learned a lot about myself. And I feel like it's really important to share that because I think it's really important if you're going on this journey with me as well, for you to really pay attention to you. Pay attention to what your brain is saying, what your body is doing. Like, are you tensing up when you think about taking away gluten? Right? Even though we can look through a lens of that's not the best for you. It's not the most amazing for you, but fuck that, right? We're not looking at that lens because life is not perfect. And like our health is not dependent upon one meal, right? It's dependent upon many, many patterns and many cycles in the wrong direction, right? And so I feel like it's really important to bring that back down to earth, bring that back to reality, like really sense that one meal does not completely throw you into diabetes, right? So we have to look at it as, okay, what patterns am I in? Where am I stuck? And so I noticed, like I said, that okay, the best way for me, because I'm very aware and very in tune with my body when I want to be, because I can totally like numb out and completely just not pay attention. But I was in observer mode this week, paying attention to what feels good. I'm like, okay, thinking about what container I'm going to be able to start with and live in for my nervous system. So I do not brace for impact, because that's what continues to fuck me over. That's what has continued to help me to cycle back into habits that do not serve me and not support my body over the long run, right? And so I've learned a lot over the past year about my nervous system and really the importance of being able to work with it at your own pace, not like finding a strategy and like balls to the wall, right? Like everyone else, because everybody has different capacity for their nervous system. And if you've been stuck in survival, like I have been for many, many years, like we can't just go from 0 to 60, right? We have to like train and have us to trust ourselves, right? Trust that, okay, when I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And also, if anything comes up, I'm going to hold myself in that process and I'm going to be okay. But in order to build capacity, you got to do little bit, little bit, little bit, not all of it, right? And again, it can be as simple as, okay, well, I want to kind of get the gluten out of my diet because it's just not great for me. It doesn't feel good. I feel bloated, right? And what is that going to look like without it being restrictive? What is that going to look like without me completely just ripping it out and then having another week where I'm like, oh, I kind of crave that, but how am I gonna like live with it? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to live with it? Because I feel like that is very, very important. I feel like that's a really important answer for me to find this year to answer for myself, right? And everyone's journey is so unique, is so different. And so I'm just sharing mine with you in hopes that perhaps this resonates, hope this helps you a little bit. But regardless, this week I'm going to prioritize my protein still because I have not. And I feel that, right? And in my bones, right? And then gluten, I'll have it, but only with a protein source because I don't want to feel like crap. At the end of the day, I don't like feeling bloated. I don't like feeling like crap. And what will happen is as I'm able to hold the capacity that I can, which is what I just told you, I can easily do that. That's not a problem, right? I can prioritize protein, right, in my diet throughout all my meals. And I can make sure if I have any gluten that I'm having it with protein, right? Like burger, hot dog, I don't know, because sometimes we do kid meals here. Um, like chicken, and if I have like a roll, right? Like it's in that capacity, not like a slice of pizza. Because I had slice of pizza and I was bloated. It was terrible, and I won't be doing that again. And I'm really not a pizza fan anyway. Like occasionally, yeah, but really, really not excited about it. But I know that when I do have it with a protein source, it feels better, right? So I can do that for myself. And I'm not cutting out sugar. I'm not cutting out seed oils. I'm not cutting out dairy. I'm just focusing here. Because what is going to happen is as I build that capacity where my body feels safe, I'm not bracing for, oh my God, what else is she taking away? Or when can I get my next hit of gluten, right? Like, when can I get my next hit? When am I going to, right? I build capacity for more, where then it'll be like, you know what? I really don't need the gluten, right? I feel safe not having it. It's totally fine. I don't really need it. It's not a big deal. I don't really enjoy it, like whatever, right? And then it's like, okay, well, also at meals, okay, how am I going to nourish my body a little bit more? How can I add, it'll just build, is what I'm trying to tell you. Because when you can be okay, feel safe in your body, you're at a rate that feels good to you, you're doing something that you can manage. Like when you start to think about changing and switching things up from a nourishing your body perspective, because that's the perspective that we're in over here, not deprivation, right? Not what can we can take out. It's like, well, what can I eat today that's going to nourish my body? And that'll feel good. And it won't feel like a diet because capacity has changed, right? I don't know if that makes sense to you. It totally makes sense to me, but that's because I understand this concept and that's why I'm doing it. And that's why I know this is going to be a big change for me. And so I just want to encourage you that starting small is just as effective as starting big. Because I used to think that, oh my God, it's got to be all or nothing, right? And that's diet mentality. That's like, I got to like urgently fix the problem. That's your nervous system, like going like, yeah, this doesn't feel safe. Hello. I don't feel safe in my body. So that's the work right there, right? That's the inner work. That's the healing. That's the start of calming your ass down and working with yourself. And so everything compounds, right? Saving a penny every single day of your life will compound into whatever it compounds into, right? It and it compounds into something more substantial. Same thing with doing what I'm doing, right? It all adds up. So if you're shaming yourself or guilting yourself, right, because maybe you can't even hold the capacity that I can right now, that's okay. Maybe your capacity is, you know what, I'm going to observe myself for the week because that's what I have. That's what I can give to focus in on myself. And that is amazing. That is awesome. And you should celebrate that focus instead of, being at that, I have to like change everything. Like, slow and low, my friends, slow and low. But I'll tell you what will be sustainable, what will be consistent, what will last is when you do not what I can do, but what you can do and do it consistently. Like I said, even if it's just observing yourself for the week, right? Like it's really important. So I think that's what I want to leave you with today. I feel complete in this conversation and my observations from the week and what I'm going to do and what I've learned because it's super important. The beginning, the 4 stages of every single story that has ended in amazingness and awesomeness always starts somewhere. That's not sexy, not exciting, not, hey, I found the solution. It's, I'm figuring it out. Let's find it together. And that's what this podcast is all about. So I hope you have a super awesome week. Thanks for listening. And if you have any questions or if you have any comments for me, I would love to connect with you on this journey so I don't feel like I'm just shouting into a void. But regardless, I love you all very much and peace out. Bye.